Hello, welcome to the 28th day of September 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a live video exercise that I do every morning from my home here in Shizuoka, Japan at around 5:30 a.m. I do this to remember and review the values outlined in my book, Going Alone, namely to see how I did in the last 24 hours utilizing the objectives and principles therein to live a better life. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours in the broad sense. How is my life doing in a large, almost an environmental or climatic way? I think about the coming day, and I ready myself to make good use of time. But before I do all of that, I want to say hello to new subscribers to the channel. It's good to have you here. Quick introduction. I'm Kurt. I'm a 61-year-old American, retired and living here in Shizuoka City, Japan with my Japanese wife, Yumiko. I'm married, like I said, and we have a daughter, Emily, 24, living up in the Tokyo area. All right. By way of disclaimer, this is a journal entry video that I do. So this is not a video about Japan. This is my own expose of the last 24 hours as I seek to improve my life. As such, since it's a journal entry, which you're welcome to watch and leave comments or criticisms to, which I'll read in a little bit. As such, since it is a journal entry, I have latitude to talk about anything. And be warned, I do sometimes talk about topics that are sensitive to people, like death. So keep that in mind. And finally, a huge thank you to my YouTube members, my Patreon supporters, and those who watch my videos. Your support makes a huge difference to me. All right, I think that's it for the disclaimer part. Let's get started. But a sip first. I keep notes every day, and looking back on the notes for the last 24 hours, I have one line here. It says, good use of time at the park, and then in parentheses, office hours. What that means is that since I'm retired, since I'm trying to find good use of my time every day, it's been a slow process to try to meander my way into this freedom. First, get used to being free. Struggle a bit with said utilization and knowing what to do. Finding myself climbing my way back into the work world for a little bit, thinking that was the best thing to do. And then finally, I think, coming free, pushing through to the other side. I know I probably still have a long journey yet to go to really be free, but I feel like I'm emerging out the other side. I'm no longer in danger of sinking like I thought I was for a while. I think that when we retire, we either float or we sink, and I think I've begun to float, but not initially it was in a floating that was kind of like a wandering, like on an inner tube, floating in the sea, just kind of wherever the breeze might drift us around. It's a pleasant enough experience, but there's not a lot of control or direction on an inner tube. You can kind of use your hands to paddle a little bit, but it's not a very active. I wanted a more active floating. So I guess I've switched to a surfboard. Surfboard you can flip over and lay on top of, and it kind of sinks in the water a little bit, but at least you can paddle around and move around. And on said surfboard, floating in this retired life, I'm trying to figure out how to make good use of the day. So to date, I've kind of chunk it down. I'm absolutely free. So every day is my own, distinct from, weekends or weekdays, etc. I've already categorized in a broad sense the weekend from the weekdays, like that. They are distinct in my life, namely because my sister-in-law Yoko is free on the weekends, and we like to do things with her. So we kind of, it changes. So let's take that and put the weekend aside. Weekend is kind of like just set up for fun. Although there's a lot of things that I still do routinely every weekend. Like I always upload this video. I always do this video every day. I haven't missed a day of this in years. I always reliably, since coming back to Japan, upload a Retiring in Japan video episode, which I'll release for upload immediately after this video is done. 7 days a week. I always do that. The only thing that would stop me would be poor health. Or if I had to go back to work, maybe. So that brings us then, so weekends don't count. They're kind of like their own liberation time, fun time. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Resembles a work week, huh? That's only incidental. That's only an artifact of the structure of the week. The structure of the fact that weekends are free are different because Yoko is free then. So 5 days a week. Now, let's structure that a little bit. It's the AM and the PM. So my day consists basically of I wake up at 4 a.m. reliably every day, weekends too, and I go to sleep about 9 p.m. every day. So what is that? 4, 12, 17 hours. So I spend about 17 hours of my day awake. From 4 o'clock a.m., 4 o'clock in the morning until 9 p.m. at night. Take out about an hour for lunch, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Round it up to an hour. It's more like a half hour, 45 minutes for each of those. So now I'm down to, what is that, about 12 hours, right? So in the morning, this is the weekdays. You know, if it sounds like I'm being a little hesitant and, you know, stuttering a little bit in my thought, if not in my speech, it's because I'm scoping this out kind of out loud for the first time. I mean, I know what it is. It's in my head, but something else to bring it out might help. You know what? Hold on, let me do something. It might help me to bring out my whiteboard. Day. We'll call this a day. So we'll call this AM and PM. Okay, so this is how my day basically looks. A day. The AM, and then we'll outline the PM too. I start my day at 4 a.m. with by waking up, and I always call this production. And you see this aligns with my notes for the day. It says basically the same thing right here. You can't read it. It's hard to read production. So I already kind of lay it out like this every day. So I begin the day at 4 a.m. with production. Then at 5:30 a.m. I have the Good Life meditation, which I'm doing right now, which lasts until about 6:30. Typically I finish around 6:15, 6:10, something like that. That gives me time to get over to the radio exercise folks thing. At 6:30 I have radio exercise, which is a community event that I do every day with my neighbors, doing exercise literally. And then at 7 o'clock, by 7 o'clock I'm home and my wife and I are walking the dogs. Then by 8 o'clock, or 8:30 that is, I have breakfast. So it takes about an hour and a half to walk the dogs, and then for Yumiko feeds the dogs and she prepares our breakfast, and we have breakfast at 8:30. By 9 o'clock, that's when I'm free again. So, well, that's the first time in the morning, because really the rest is all scheduled out. So here's where it gets interesting. I'm going to call this the beginning of the walking the dog in Japan. A few hours. This is, remember, if you follow this, I bought this dog stroller last week, and I've got it all equipped out, and it's ready to go. It works really nice. It's by a company called Ibiyaya. It's their Hercules brand dog stroller. It's really very good, and I've so far taken it out twice at 9 a.m. I load my little Rudy up, my little white dog Rudy, in the stroller, and we head out, and we meander about. Now by 10 a.m., I started this 2 days ago. I have office hours, an office hour. It's only 30 minutes, 10 o'clock to 10:30 a.m. And what I'll do is I'll go to the park, and I did this yesterday for the first time. I park the stroller, pull Rudy out. He and I pull him out a little bit before that so he can do his business as we walk if he has any business to do. And we sit, and I've got the other phone set up with in Discord, and I created a Discord community channel called Softypapa's Office, and I'll be in that office, and I just got that set up yesterday, from 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. for 30 minutes every day, Monday through Friday. So that takes me to 10:30. So then, from 10:30 until, well, basically until 11:30. I'll walk, and then at 11:30 I typically meet my wife, and we take care of my father-in-law's lunch, and then that takes me to noon. So that's pretty much the morning. Look at that! I've got the whole morning outlined pretty nicely. 4 o'clock production time, 5:30 good life meditation, 6:30 radio exercise, 7 o'clock dog walk with Yumiko and both dogs, 8:30 breakfast, 9 o'clock walking the dog in Japan, 10 o'clock starts my office hours for 30 minutes, from 10:30 until 11:30 more walking, and then from 11:30 until roughly 1:30, I would say, let's take it from there. Let's just call it noon. Well, that's really good. So I'm then usually free about 1:30. Now, that's interesting. 1:30. What I would like to do is I would like to fit some time in there to do a daily blog post on my website. But the afternoon remains open. What I have been doing is Yumiko and I have been finding stuff to do in the afternoon, which is a lot of fun. We go antiquing or cafe or have coffee, something like that. What I would like to do is find some spot for a blog post entry in there. I think I'll leave that as it is. I'll continue working on this later. Put this back. So to that end, I have, my only note here was that yesterday was a good use of time at the park. I figured out how to do the Discord thing. I set it up. I did it. Nobody came, but that was my fault, because it turns out I had set up the community channel, but well, maybe nobody was going to come anyway, but I had failed to set up the permissions to allow anybody in. So I knew that because someone sent me a message that I saw later on Discord saying, hey, I tried to get in, but permissions weren't set. I think I've got that set up today, so hopefully it'll work. Although that person did send me some more messages that I need to follow up on this morning to further tune it. I think that's good. That's all I need to cover with that. Okay, let's go over my creed. My creed consists of 8 objectives and 35 principles, and it turns out that I've completed. So what I usually do is I state out loud numerically the 8 objectives, and then I read one of the principles from the book. But it turns out that I've read all of the 35 principles. I completed the last one yesterday, the principle of being prepared. So now I'm going to circle back and begin, but I'm going to begin with the objective. So in covering objective number 1, let me just read it as it's written in the book. So again, from my book, Going Alone, which you can read for free at goingalone.org, just click on the link or the button right in the middle of the page that says read the book. Look for the chapter titled The Good Life. And the very first principal objective on page 247, if you have the hardbound edition, assuming you have a copy of my book, here it is. 8 objectives. Number 1, to always be ready to die or become infirm or old. And then a quote from Dr. Johnson. That we must all die, we always knew. I wish I had sooner remembered it. Well stated, Dr. Johnson. Be always ready to die. At all times, have every important life affair in order, my decided purpose, my household and finances, as well as my connections, obligations, responsibilities, and commitments. Have also my art in a state of readiness to carry on as my only real legacy and potential lasting memory after I am gone. Not even the genetics will survive. My last photo taken, my last sketch complete, my final word penned and saved. No letters left to write, no goodbyes left to speak, no one left to hug. To be ready now and at a moment's notice to loosen my grip when life is done all at once and then fall into darkness without a single backward glance or backward thought or longing backward memory. Likewise, to be prepared if I am no longer able to care for myself due to infirmity, or old age. So being ready to die means to have my affairs and my relationships and my life's work in a good solid state, not to worry so much about the genetics part, although if one becomes a father or a mother, then carry that on as our first and most important commitment in life, even though genetics don't last. What may have a chance to last is your barbaric yelp, if you choose to make one, if you have the inclination and the wherewithal to make one. That might last a little longer, maybe even than your genes. My second objective is to make good and effective use of time, which I did yesterday. Very good job at the park. That was a good use of time, even though I didn't talk to anybody. But I set the precedent for this. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5 is to perform good actions relative to my values. 6 is to recognize my true limits and true opportunities. 7, to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. And objective number 8, to maintain my balance. All right, as for today, my next 24 hours, I'm going to have I'm going to refine the office hour work. I'll be at my spot at 10 o'clock, sitting there. I'll stop at 7-Eleven, get a cup of coffee. I'm training Rudy to sit outside while I'm inside. And then I'll be, while I'm get that, then I'll go to the park. And, or maybe I won't actually buy coffee. Maybe I'll just heat some water up at the park. I've got the jet boil thing. That would be fun. And then just have some instant coffee. Maybe I'll do that for today. And then I'll do my office hours. Okay, with that, let's take a look at the temperature and the humidity. It is right now spot on, just a tad below 20 degrees and 86% humidity. Now, I know enough to know today's going to be a rough day. That's a formula for a challenge in the making. Just under 20 degrees and almost 90% humidity. Wow. So probably I'm going to having my office hours at the park. I'm going to do it, but it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Let's read comments. Hi Tim, good morning to you. Weather check in the UK at 9:34 p.m. is 10.8 degrees and 79% humidity, calm, sunny day. That's quite a big change. Weren't you down at 2 degrees just a few days ago? That's a nice climb back up. Hello, Evelyn. Hi, Tim. Evelyn says hi to Tim. Much cooler here in Italy today. First day of rain after being here a month. Wow, a month in Italy. Tim says, when I first started retirement, I made an effort to differentiate between the weekends and the weekdays, but now after 2 years, I'm finding this harder and harder. Plus, also, I find the days can merge. Yeah, I was noting that in my notes here that I was mistracking one day after another. It helps a little bit since we take care of my father-in-law, that he has doctor's appointments on Mondays and Wednesdays, so that puts like in the middle of the week, kind of it's like an anchor, or not an anchor, but like a flag, a marker in the midweek. Oh, today's doctor day, so it must be a Wednesday, or or something like that. Into one. Tim says they merge into one another far too easily, so I forget what weekday it is. Won't we call that? Don't you think, Tim, that in many ways that's I'm sure I'm speaking to the choir here, right? It's kind of a blessing not to have to be so concerned about it anymore. Although you kind of do lose track, and I don't want to lose track of when important stuff happens. I'm sure I'm saying something that you already know and have thought about a lot. Tim says hello to Evelyn. Tim says, I think with the weekends, it's a case of trying to find activities that are totally different to the norm of the week. Trying to find activities that are totally different to the norm of the week. Why do we do that though? Is it because it's a force of habit to differentiate the weekend somehow? I hear what you're saying, and I think, and I know you're right. There's a different feel, and the weekends hit different, don't they? Everybody else, or a lot of the other people are free too, and so they kind of it's like having a party with people versus a party with fewer people on the weekdays. You know what I'm a little bit concerned about, guys, is my wife. She's never been one to wrestle with existential angst or worry, or she just kind of has been, she's one of those blessed persons who just kind of lives their life and enjoys their life and doesn't ask much of life other than what life gives. I mean, in a way that's kind of like, I feel like that's like, boss level gaming in a way, to live like that. But I do worry a little bit that she's been retired more than a year now. A little worried that she's going to run into this, what to do with your time. But, I'm here with her, so I'll be there to help her through that. And we enjoy doing stuff together, so maybe that constitutes that open PM section that I had. Maybe that constitutes doing stuff with my wife. Evelyn says, I forgot what day of the week it is on a daily basis. Sometimes I still panic a little bit when I wake up thinking that I'm supposed to be someplace. I have the same panic, Evelyn. Not that I necessarily have to be any place, but I get people that want to have phone calls with me or meet me, and I get, it happens every month, almost every week, and I have to, is this today the day I'm supposed to have coffee with somebody? I have to check my calendar. I need to add that to my workflow, to check my calendar first thing in the morning to see if I've got anything going on. So that I get a little panic. Michael, hello Michael. Good to see you. Tim says, same here, Evelyn, although sometimes I struggle to remember what I did 2 or 3 days ago. Unsure if that is because of too much of a routine, hence trying to keep weekends separate from the week. I want to read that again. I sometimes struggle to remember what I did 2 or 3 days ago. Unsure if that is because of too much of a routine, hence trying to keep... Oh, I see what you're saying. So the week, so one day, if you have too much of a routine, one day seems like the next, right? Evelyn says, does Rudy like getting into the stroller? Like some pups enjoy jumping into the car and going for a ride. Rudy is okay. Rudy's not okay with it. Well, what should I say? Rudy is like perpetually anxious about everything, pretty much. And so he seems to be all right. He won't jump in. I have to put him in. For one thing, he's too small to jump up there. Ollie, the black dog, can jump in. He'll jump right in. He rides like Snoop Dogg in a '78 Cutlass. But Rudy, on the other hand, I have to put him in. He doesn't seem relaxed, but he doesn't seem relaxed anywhere. So he likes this. He seems relaxed here. I set up this little bed here every night, and he sleeps right there, and I can close the screen because the weather's been warm to keep the bugs out. And he loves to sleep there. Like, he looks really relaxed right now. After he gets up, I'll put that comforter away, and he has a little cushion that he can sit on there. But he seems very comfortable in this room with me. And I noticed that, by the way, he breathes. He breathes slowly and softly now, which he rarely ever does. Claude, hello, Claude. Segmented like a pie. Your day, 4 a.m. is too early. REM sleep is between 4 and 6. It is unusual punishment to deprive the body of necessary rest and sleep. Afternoon siesta is always important. Sounds like sound advice. Tim says, the biggest problem I find in retirement is the passage of time or lack of time, where before I retired I was expecting the opposite. Tim, you always say things that require me to read it twice, not because you write Borne, but because your statements so often are so weighty. they reflect a deep consideration on your part, and so I need to give them that attention. It doesn't mean that everybody else isn't like that, but it's just sometimes I think Tim and you and I have a very parallel life experience and thoughts. The biggest problem I find in retirement is the passage of time or lack of time. The passage of time or lack of time, where before I retired I was expecting the opposite. Is the passage of time or lack of time. I don't know that I understand what that means. The passage of time or lack of time. Would the passage of time be a problem if you don't have anything to fill the passage with? Or is and then how does that relate to the lack of time, which seems just the opposite? Maybe I need to understand it better. Maybe you can elaborate, please. There's Crystal, stepping in late, had to work, SOS, LOL, hi everyone. Well, it's good to see you, better late than never, as they say. And Tim says hi to Crystal. Evelyn says welcome to Crystal. Crystal said, had a nice walk today. The walking the dog in Japan is inspiring. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. I'm glad you had a nice walk. I'm going to be heading out and walking the dog a lot today. Tim says, I've now set a daily goal of just doing one activity a day and then chilling the rest of the time. Otherwise, I find I'm clock watching, which I feel isn't good in retirement, as feels like work. You know what, Tim, that I found that to that end, I enjoy trying to limit myself to one thing a day as well. You know what I found really just fun is strumming my guitar, not playing my guitar, not learning songs, but just sitting and strumming. Because I know you and I both are the type, and I think Evelyn is like this as well, where we can't sit well with ourselves, right? It's just hard to just sit, and even if there's something doing, like I can't sit and just watch a video on YouTube. I need something to do with my hands, and so strumming the guitar is really turning out to be a lot of fun. I think you play the guitar too, Tim, if I remember right. Claude says, every day is Sunday to me. Well, that is a true, wonderful thing. Tim says, I think keeping the weekend different is an effort to steer away from too much routine, if that makes sense. I hear you, yeah. I hear you. So whereas the weekend before when we were working was a break from that said routine that we didn't have any choice otherwise, having the weekend distinct in some way now in retirement makes it, you know what, is just as you said, a break from the routine. Because what I did, and I'm constraining myself, that the schedule that I outlined is a Monday to Friday schedule. Weekends are distinct from that. And so you're right, it helps to make it distinct. Also give myself latitude to do stuff that I might not do on the weekdays. Like, a trip to Fuji for a cafe or something like that. Claude recommends volunteering at the Rodin Museum. Well, that would be a good job. That would be a good thing to do. Evelyn says, right now my weekdays and weekends are merged together since I haven't started teaching ESL yet. One thing I'm strict about is not leaving the apartment before reading my books for several hours. Ooh, what a great discipline, Evelyn. I admire that. I've brought all these books with me from Japan, from the United States, but I don't spend too much time reading them. I think it's because I'm still just finding my way in this new life, you know, and but maybe more and more, but I admire that. Hello, Will. Ohio gozaimasu to you. Evelyn says, I am also team one thing a day. Team one thing a day. I like that. That's great. Let's start a team. Robert, there's Robert saying hi to everybody and chiming in from Napanee, Ontario, Canada at 66 degrees Fahrenheit, 87% humidity, and an air quality of 27. Good to see you, Robert. I appreciate that. I appreciate hearing from you. Tim says, sorry, LOL. I think he's clarifying what he said earlier. I think I was trying to say about the passage of time is I find it goes too quickly, hence the lack of time and focusing on one good thing a day than trying to rush things. It does indeed pass quickly. I still don't imagine, and I'm sure I'll get a hallelujah from everybody. I still don't imagine how in the world did I ever fit a career into my life before. Tim adds, after all, it's retirement. Yep. Will says, I'm glad the whole eye treatment went well. Thank you very much. It sure did. I'm still putting drops in for another couple of days. Crystal says, I work from home and homeschool a teen, so we have a loose Monday to Friday. Oh, wow, what a wonderful thing to have that opportunity to school your child the way you want, right? I admire that. And Tim says hi to Robert. All right, well, I've reached the end, and I think it's going to sign off for now. And see, Tim, I was good today. I didn't release the retiring in Japan video until after I went live, so to ensure that the notifications went out. Oh, and if anyone's interested, I've started office hours from 10 o'clock to 10:30 Japan time. I know that people like Tim will be, and Evelyn will be fast asleep by then over there in Europe area. But if it's on the Discord server, I created a special Discord channel called Softypapa's Office. I did it for the first time yesterday, but I had failed to set up the permissions, so nobody could see it. So one of the Discord members sent me a message later saying, I went to join you, but there was no Softypapa's Office because I hadn't set up the permissions right. I set them up. So with that person's help, I set them up hopefully correctly today. But I'll be doing that every day, Monday to Friday, from 10 o'clock to 10:30 a.m. This is literally, I'll be just like my old professor, Dr. Losi. We used to have office hours, and I used to go enjoying talking to him. I'm not trying to say that I'm like a professor or anything like that, but I'm just emulating what I enjoyed so much from someone that I once admired. He's been long dead. So over on the Softypapa, and I've been trying to find a good use of the Softypapa's Discord server. So hopefully these office hours will help. People can come by if they have questions or they just want to talk or whatever. I'll be there. All right. Tim says, exactly that. That's what all retirees say. It's a weird thing with time. You're referring to how did you ever fit a career, right? It's a weird thing with time as get more in retirement, it seems to be going more quickly. You know what else, Tim? I'm noticing more and more that retirees that are deeper into it, they fraternize more amongst other retirees. It's almost like an exclusive club. I pass these two old women. If you watch my Retiring in Japan daily uploads, I pass them. I never put them on camera, but I pass them every day. And they've been retired a long time, and they walk together. And they've barely got time of the day for me. It's like, you young whippersnapper, good morning to you. You know, they're in their own little world. Tim says, thanks, Kurt. I did get the notification today. I'm glad we got that all figured out. Hope you all have a good day. Wishing you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.